So I really want to share on a topic that is very close to my heart, which is a question of whether our relationships need to be in a lot of processing in order to be tantric, in order to be meaningful. So just to give a little context, I feel that a couple of generations ago, like maybe our parents' generation, relationships, generally people weren't taught to have so much communication in their relationships. So to share vulnerability and share feelings and these kind of things wasn't really in the training and the education a few generations ago. And so consequently, we tended to grow up with parents and adults around us who didn't communicate on much of a deeper level, unless they had broken through that conditioning. And there were some who, of course, were leaders. Then a new wave came around. So I think in like the 70s, 80s, there started to be things like Landmark Forum and Osho and, different processes coming out that empowered people into emotional release, catharsis, expression, communication. A bit later along came nonviolent communication. People learned how to speak and express. So now, as a generation, we're in this world that we've come through all of that, and we have a lot of tools, which is great. But something that I've been noticing recently, especially in the Tantra world, people doing a lot of workshops and trainings, is that it's also possible to go a little too far the other way and to be in an endless processing drama. So I don't know if you have experienced that yourself, or maybe you know a couple that seem to be doing that. I think the time that it really clicked for me was actually watching another couple. Sometimes it's easier to watch from afar. There was a couple who practiced Tantra together, and I began to, at the beginning I thought, wow, they're so deep, they're always processing, and stuff comes up, and they share, and they scream and cathart, and then they move through it, and, so I kind of had this impression, like, wow, what a deep relationship, this is great. And then over time, as I watched, it was like, wow, it never ends, like, it's every day. It seems like all the daylight hours are like processing, drama, screaming, and then hopefully by night, by the time they go to bed, that's resolved. So like, how is it there's like endless problems? Maybe the generation before us never even discovered that there were things to process, and now it's gone the other way. It's like, so I'm noticing a kind of processing addiction quite easy to happen, and I've been there myself. I'm not just looking at other people. So I've had relationships which we've induced a little more drama. One of the best ways is to have an open relationship and have your partner and you sleep with other people and trigger each other, and jealousy and emotions coming up. You don't need to do that, of course, but that's one way. And then it's like, right, I need to process this, I need to share this, and my emotions, my expression. And, on one level you feel really, really alive. Like, for sure, I started to feel like, wow, this is transformational. I'm really moving to the next level here, stuff my parents never did. And, it brings a sense of depth and connection with somebody. But, yeah, then I saw this other couple, and I began to be like, I wonder if this is ever going to end. And if this is the ultimate, place to be in a relationship. And then the last couple of years I started to feel more and more like, I'm really valuing peace. Maybe it's something to do with aging. Really more and more valuing being in peace and just having a good old-fashioned good time with someone, like going for a walk down the beach, going kayaking together, going to our favorite restaurant. No processing. What about that for a novel idea? So I began to kind of think about it and look a little bit more like, do I need to process every little thing that comes up? And I realized when I asked this question, no, I don't. Most of it kind of passes with time. It's not the same as suppressing it, of course, but can I hold space for it myself? And having done a few silent retreats in my time, while I've been in relationship and gone off into silence, when things come up in the retreat, but I'm in silence, so I just hold space for it and feel it, move it through my body, notice the sensations, and come back to peace. And it's like, I did that all on my own. Did it without needing to go into blame, story, drama. I just moved through it. So it's possible to move through a lot of things quite quickly, all on your own, without suppressing them. And one of the strongest ways I find is something I call Shakti meditation. I teach it, I share it, which is kind of going into the sensations in the physical body that are there. So stepping underneath the story. So it's not spiritual bypassing, it's not ignoring the story, it's not invalidating the emotions, but it's going under the story, under the emotions, into the body, into the physical sensations and being present with them. And then often the body, sometimes it even shakes, shudders, and it just moves energy that needs to be moved, and then you're at peace again. And you go find your partner again, it's like, great. I'm through that thing. It wasn't really a thing anyway, it just was something passing through. So I'm not saying that we should never share, never process. I'm a huge fan of conscious communication, of moving things through together. I think it's fantastic. But I just want to add in a little dash of awareness around not having to do it all the time. Also, I feel having a time sort of deadline around it, of like, you know, time that's for processing, set aside each day, each week, whatever you need. It's like, okay, that's our processing time, but if we go out for dinner, we agree to no processing. We just enjoy each other's company. And it's really a choice of which reality we're in. You know, it's like our inner child is the part that needs to process our wounded self, and it's great to heal that, but we don't need to be in that all the time. There's also our higher self, our perfect self that's already perfect, and that we can really enjoy life from that place, from the love that we are. And so it's a good practice to move between them, not always be, you know, acting out the more triggered part, the more dramatic part. It's in the Taoist practices, it's understood that catharsis expels a lot of energy. So you want to use it cautiously, like a stick of dynamite. You just throw it in when everything's really stuck and clear things out, but then move into more soft ways, especially moving in fresh new chi and positive emotions, and just helping all that isn't harmonious with that to fall away. So just some ideas for you to think about if you're in a relationship and you've got some processing tools, some communication tools, maybe some emotional release tools, fantastic. But have a little think about having just set times, asking permission before you go into your process, and sometimes choosing to process alone, and other times choosing just to step into your higher self, into the love that you are, and to relate from there. So these are choices that we have, and clearing away that kind of underlying expectation that we can easily have, that our partner owes us, that because they're our lover, they need to hold space whenever we need it held. It's not true. It's simply not true. Our partner doesn't owe us that. It's a great honor if somebody holds space for us, but let's not take advantage of that. So always ask permission. Beloved, do you have it in you to hold space for me right now? And if you get a no, thank you for honoring your boundaries. I'm going to go clear this myself. I'll see you in an hour or so. Yeah? So just some ideas to create a harmonious relationship, an enjoyable relationship, have fun time together, and have some space for your processing. So I hope that's helpful for some. Please feel free to share comments below, because I really love to hear from you too.